Well, hello there, everyone. It's time for another installment of ClockMan's crap. This is a Moss Tropical Breeze. I don't believe it's a Moss Tropical Breeze Deluxe, although I have to admit I don't know what the Deluxe represents. This is another one that if you have followed the channel for a while, you have probably seen, because this was installed in the kitchen and had been presumably since the house was built back in 1983. And it was a little bit big for the kitchen, honestly, but in typical Aunt Linda fashion, it made sense. Now, this was there until, what is it now, July? So about 4 months ago. In early March, I was at work one day, and I got off of work, and I went to pick up my phone off the break room table because I was walking out to my car, and I saw I had a missed call, not from Paul, but rather from Chris, my coworker, who is Paul's nephew. He had been staying there that night, and he had been assigned to clean the kitchen ceiling fan. And apparently he had broken it, and he called me to come look at it. And I asked him what happened, and he said it blew up. And I said, well, that's weird. I said, well, I'm getting off work. Give me 20 minutes. I'm on my way. So I drove over there, and what I discovered happened, after talking to him, he had turned the fan off to clean it. Now, this was wired in the same fashion that the Laguna in the laundry room was, where the light was operated by a wall switch and the fan was a constant hot, and the only way to turn it off was from the pull chain. And as Chris was cleaning it, he turned it off, of course, and when he turned it back on, the pull chain blew up inside. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what caused it, but it definitely tripped the breaker. And of course, it's a double layer pull chain, which means it was really going to be difficult to find a replacement. And so Chris's aunt, Paul's wife, was there at the time, and I asked her if she wanted me to try to fix it or if she wanted to just upgrade to a new fan. And I said I would do either one. She decided to go ahead and take the opportunity. She took another one of those new in-box Mainstays huggers that Paul had sitting around, and we installed it in that kitchen. And I said I would take this thing home and see if I could fix it. So I took it apart, and sure enough, I found the pull switch. It would not pull anymore, and it did not pass the smell test. It smelled like burned plastic. And of course, when I pulled it apart after removing it and replacing it, oh yeah, I don't know exactly what went wrong, but something sure did. So I put a new switch in it. Fan runs again now, except there is a little bit of a difference. You see, right now, obviously the fan is off, but not by the way of the pull chain, because the pull chain now does not have an off position. I don't know what the story is with that, because I replaced it with a double layer switch, just exactly like the one that was in it previously. But no, instead now the fan has, first pull is high, then you have two mediums, and then you have low. Not sure what the deal is with that. So right now the reverse switch is kind of in the neutral position, just so that I could start this video off. But I'll go ahead and we'll turn it to the, see if I can get it to start again. There we go. Just like that. And that will be the low speed. It's probably not the best thing you can do to this thing, but that's the way I decided I was going to do it here. Definitely got a little bit of a hum to it, but not too bad, especially when you consider the age and the mileage there. Because just as the Laguna in the kitchen, this thing ran pretty much, Laguna in the laundry room, this was in the kitchen. Just like that fan though, this thing ran pretty much constantly. Although the Laguna was usually on medium or high, this one was usually on low, unless somebody was cooking and it got hot in the kitchen. At least as far back as Paul has lived in the house. Now when Linda lived in the house, it was probably on high all the time. I did discover something interesting though when I took the light kit off to investigate the wiring. It turns out that the light kit has a date code of 1998 on it. I don't know if they replaced the light kit. I also discovered that it had a outlet box mountable U-bolt bracket. Certainly not what I would have expected. I really would have thought that this would have a simple J-hook. So I almost wonder if it was replaced at some point, although it certainly fit the age of the house. And what could have been there before, I sure don't know. But there you go, there's the low speed. We'll see if we can pick a medium here. See, it just kicks right to high. We'll go with that. That is the medium speed as it should be. bearings are a little loud on this one too, although surprisingly not as bad as the Laguna bearings are. This one has a little more of a grind to it. The Laguna bearings are smooth, they're just loud. This one has a little bit more of a hiss. So this, even on medium speed, was plenty powerful, especially for a room as small as that little galley kitchen is. The fan took up pretty much all the ceiling space there was between the cabinets. It was actually pretty funny. But it sure did the job well for a long time. I wonder if there's any difference between the two medium speeds. Let's see. No, does not appear to be. But we'll move it to high now. It quite whips on high, as you would expect from one of these. I just realized I did a terrible job of cleaning this globe. Is it still sticky? All the kitchen grease? A little bit. This little fan was gross. I had actually taken it apart several months before it broke and given it a deep scrub, taken the blades off and run them through the kitchen sink with a sponge, because this thing was truly gross. It also didn't help the fact that for most of its life, the blades were attached upside down. I only remedied that maybe 2 or 3 years ago, so go stand by the door as I often do. I still can't breathe. Oh yeah, plenty of air movement. I think rather than be mean to the reverse switch, because I've probably done enough of that, I think that we'll go ahead and turn it off from the cord on the, or from the switch on the lamp cord here, which means we'll lose the light as well. But that will be, you know, I don't want to abuse that reverse switch too much, because that's not the recommended method of turning the fan off if the pull chain doesn't work to do it. But that's just the way that I found to make it work. So do as I say, not as I do. I'm actually just returning from said ClockMan's house because it was once again card night, and I discovered something very interesting while I was there, of which more later. It was actually funny because a couple weeks ago, Chris called me again and said that the light fixture on the new fan was not working, but the fan still was. I was like, well, that's weird. So I go over there, made sure the wire connection was okay, it checked out, but the light still didn't work. Couldn't figure out what it was. And then I discovered tonight that there is, in fact, a 3-way switch set up on the light, and there is another switch over behind the refrigerator, which is on the other side of the room from where the switch is that we normally turn the light on with. And sure enough, that switch had gotten bumped accidentally and was in the neutral position, you know, meaning kind of stuck in the middle. So of course there was no power getting through it, and that would explain why we couldn't get the lights to work. So the lights are working now, which is good because I was really not looking forward to having to go up in the attic and trace wiring. I really didn't want to do that, but I would have if it had been necessary. Bearings are still pretty good despite their noise, and the fact that this thing was exposed to kitchen grease from, you know, 20, if depending on which date you believe. If you believe the date on the light kit, then that would be roughly 27 years, maybe 28 years. And if you believe the date on the fan, that would be somewhere approaching 43, something like that. So I'm really surprised the bearings are as good as they are. Turn it back on here and give you a 0 to high. Gets down to brass tacks pretty quick. Now, I think this is the last fan from Paul's, at least at this point, that was installed up until recently and that I took down myself. So moving forward, we'll have some more shenanigans, kind of like the baseball bat laser lock over there. There are quite a few interesting stories coming up, believe you me. But I think that does it for this one. So I'll see if I can get one more done tonight. I'm going to sure try. And we'll be back for another video pretty soon. But hopefully you've enjoyed this one. It is nice to have this thing running again. I asked Paul if he wanted it back, just like I did with the Laguna. And he was content with the Mainstays Hugger. Although I will say, having cooked in that kitchen before, both when this was installed and when the Mainstays was up, this, of course, runs rings around that damn thing. It is nowhere near as impressive as this is, but not my house, not my problem, and at the end of the day, I get one more vintage fan, so I'm not going to complain. There you go, a Moss Tropical Breeze. I believe it's just a plain Tropical Breeze for your viewing pleasure.